Even before Elira reached the cliff's edge, she felt the silence pulsing like a bruise between her ribs, an unnatural stillness where the siren's song should have curled through the dawn. For years, their voices had haunted her dreams, sweet and ruinous, a call she had sworn never to answer. Something had woken in the waters, something ancient enough to remember her name, and as the wind carried the first broken note of a siren's cry, Elira understood that the sea had finally come to collect its debt. What if I told you I wrote that in 10 seconds? Because I did. Well, technically not me. It was AI after I gave it the following prompt. Can you write me a short paragraph as an introductory in the first chapter of a fantasy novel? I want to write a book. Can you make it in the writing style of Sarah J. Maas? Is that easy to pretend you wrote something? And it's getting harder and harder to spot. Today, I want to talk about this. Might be the most controversial subject in the bookish community, which is the use of AI in publishing.
Hey dude, if you're sick of seeing AI slop on your For You page and you hate that thing with your guts too, make sure to like this video. It would help me reach the right audience. Thank you.
We're also going to look at examples of authors being caught using AI in their books. I feel like the lines are just starting to get more and more blur in the use of AI in art, like writing or digital art, and people are just starting to cross these lines more and more and taking AI art and trying to pass it as its own. And I'll be honest with you, I think we can all agree that AI art is and it looks terrible. It's just wrong to look at. It's like a feeling. It's like, I know this, I cannot prove it, but I know this was not made by a human. And it's not just because I see a cat going to its corporate job. Like, I know that's AI slop, but I'm starting to talk about like book covers or character fan art. I'm looking at it and I know instantly that it's AI, and it's not because it has been mentioned. It's because it just gave that feeling of fake and too smooth around the edges. And lately, indie authors have been caught using AI more than ever, with the term being called AI slop refers to the amount of books that are being published on Amazon Kindle every single day. I was starting to get super suspicious of everyone, and my question was, when I started doing this research, is it just indie authors or it's starting to be big publishers too? I did some digging and I want to talk about in depth about why publishers might choose to use it in the future or why they're already using it and the effects that will have in the publishing industry, because I feel like tech companies are pushing the use of AI in every industry. And let's talk about the fact that I think, in my opinion, is the truth. It is a harsh truth. Resisting AI is kind of futile at this point because it's like resisting the inventing of the internet or the telephone. I feel like it's a sure thing that it's gonna happen, and it's kind of hard to kind of be like, no, we're all not gonna use AI at this point. It's kind of futile, but that doesn't mean that it should be used freely. The question I'm asking, how can we use AI in a conscious way that will not affect creative jobs like digital artists and authors? Because I feel like AI should not exist in that space. So how can we censor it? The reality is it cuts costs for publishers. The fact that it's here to stay does not mean that we're like, oh, whoa, it's out of my hands now, I can't do anything about it. I don't believe that's the right thing to do. Just because technology exists doesn't mean that every use of it is acceptable. We had to figure out regulation for internet, for social media, for every major technology, and I think we need to do the same for AI. But before that, we need to identify what kind of problem it proposes in this space. So let's talk about the publishing industry and how it was affected by AI, because as I said, AI is being pushed by tech companies. It's mostly free, so it's very tempting to use it as a crutch for your writing or for cutting costs as a publisher. Because we have talked about this in one of my previous videos with Haley Pham and her publishing a book. A lot of the time, publishing is still a struggling industry and they are trying to make profit in a lot of different ways. So cutting costs by using AI would not surprise me. And publishers have used AI already. It started small as like A/B testing book covers or analyzing market trends. And we have seen this happening, and publisher can just justifying like, we're just using data to make better decisions for the future. But then they're starting to use AI stock image for designing covers, AI written marketing emails and articles, and AI assistance for editing. And I feel like that line is just being pushed more and more, and just they're trying to use it more and more. It's a classic of I'll give you my finger, you'll take the whole hand situation, where I think we're just like watching it slowly happening. The biggest argument people are using against AI, which is the most factual one, is that AI is not original work. AI uses whatever is available on the internet to learn and compile new work. So basically, using AI to generate writing is basically using work of authors that have already published books and that are available online. So it's basically stealing from other authors. And I think it's safe to say that I don't think at this point we know exactly which way it will go, because we have two different sides of the matter. For example, we have example like HarperCollins when they partnered with the AI company 11 Labs to create AI narrated audiobooks for their foreign language backlist title, using text-to-speech technology, with the platform able to create an audiobook in approximately 1 hour. The controversy being, first of all, you're stealing work from voice actors, and second of all, the voice actor and authors expressed concern that publishers weren't obtaining consent from authors who granted audio rights before synthetic voice technology existed. Many people are worrying that this is just the beginning of replacing narrators entirely. And then we have Simon & Schuster, where Meta considered purchasing Simon & Schuster outright to acquire high-quality published content for training their AI models. They literally wanted to buy an entire publishing house just for the purpose of training AI. And then again, with the Simon & Schuster subsidiary announcing an AI translation projects for fewer than 10 commercial fiction titles, spending millions on the initiative. But on the other side, we have Penguin Random House. I think they're seeing this as a threat a little bit, especially with Meta trying to acquire Simon & Schuster and train their AI models, because once AI just starts publishing books, a lot of the books published by the publishing houses are going to become redundant. Penguin Random House has amended its copyright wording across all imprints globally. The new wording states, no part of this book may be used or reproduced in any manner for the purpose of training artificial intelligence technology or system, and it will be included in all new titles and backlist titles that are reprinted. So they amended their copyright in order to specifically say you cannot use this when you're training your AI. So basically this also includes using it for inspiration as an indie author. And why am I saying indie author? Because mostly the indie authors are the ones who have been caught red-handed using it for their writing purpose. We have specific examples where authors have just forgot to remove their AI prompt from their printed books. And of course that everyone was very disgusted by this behavior and called it for what it was, straight embarrassing. A very, very popular example that made the bookish community revolt was Lena McDonald and part 2 of her book, The Dark Hollow Academy. Readers were just reading this book and all of a sudden, imagine in between the paragraphs in middle of the story, you get this. I've rewritten the passage to align more with Jay Bree's style, which features more tension, gritty undertones, and raw emotional subtext beneath the supernatural element. And then it goes back to your story. So this author is just trying to emulate the style of a best-selling author in her writing. And of course, ever since then, the digital version of this book has been corrected, but social media, so we have screenshots. But my surprise came more from the author's response. And let me read this entire paragraph because I thought it was very interesting. Hi everyone, I want to openly and sincerely address something that's come to light regarding my book. A prompt was recently found in the text. It's something that should have never made it into the final version. I want to apologize deeply to my readers and to the writing community. The truth is, I used AI to help edit and shave parts of the book. As a full-time teacher and mom, I simply can't afford a professional editor, and I turned to AI as a tool to help refine my writing. Teaching wages make it hard enough to support a family, and writing has been a passion project pursued in the small pockets of time I could find. My goal was always to entertain, not to mislead. That said, the appearance of an editing prompt in the final book was a mistake, one that I take full responsibility for. It has unintentionally sparked a broader conversation about AI and creative work, and I understand the concerns. I'm taking this seriously, and I will be reviewing this book carefully, making corrections where needed, and being more transparent in the future about my process. To my readers, thank you for your support, your honesty, and your patience. I'm learning from this and will do better. To the wider community, I'm sorry. I don't like this at all, and I think using it as an excuse of I don't have money for an editor, so I'm using it as an editor, I think is just a way of trying to explain your behavior. But I don't think please rewritten this passage to align more with another author's style and giving it instructions of how the atmosphere should be. I don't think that's an editing. I think that's stealing an author's style, because if you're telling him, hey, use this author as an inspiration, it's gonna pull from that author's work, and I don't think that's an editing. I'm sorry. I think if you gave the prompt of like, maybe rewrite this to have more tension, it would have been still okay, because maybe that's what an editor would do for you, help you, guide you in the right direction. But the fact that you're using another author as an example to create atmosphere instead of using your own voice to craft it, I think it's wrong. And I think that's where it separates authors that are passionate about just having a book out there, a book that they have created from zero, to business owners. Because again, you're saying that as a full-time teacher and mom, I simply can't afford a professional editor, and I turned to AI as a tool to help refine my writing. Teaching wages can make it hard enough to support a family, and writing has been a passion project. I think writing has become a business project, and you're seeing it as a way of profiting, because otherwise I don't think you would rush it. That's the clear line for me, for people who use AI and people who don't. Because I feel like if I wanted to create something, I take my life as an example, which I don't write books, but I have other things that I'm very passionate about. And the best thing about it is creating it from zero until the end and just taking your time and crafting it, because it will feel like your baby at the end. It will feel like something you have created. It won't feel like you taken shortcuts. And we all know how much blood and sweat authors put in their books, because we all know how much work it takes. And I feel like you're using AI as a cheating code, even though it's for editing. I just see it as an icky behavior. In the end, if I have a book that I want to put out there, I'll be like, this is 100% my work. I would feel so icky if I had like entire paragraphs that have been remodeled by AI. But let's move on to another author that has been caught using AI in writing is Casey Crown, and with her book Dark Obsession. The prompt that was found in the book said this: here's an enhanced version of your passage, making Elena more relatable and injecting additional humor while providing a brief, sexy description of Grigori. Changes are highlighted in bold for clarity. And her response was basically the same, saying that she uses AI for minor edits. But in my head, I'm not an author, so I can't say for sure. But I feel like if something feels icky, feels a little bit wrong, I feel like it shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a very blurry line. In the first place, you're using AI to create a new paragraph, which already I'm saying I don't think you enjoy writing as much as you say you want to be a published author. You don't want to have a book. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I think you just like the idea of being a published writer and you want to get it done as fast as possible and as soon as possible. This gives like school assignment that you don't care about, and you just put a copy paste from Google and you don't read it through, and then you left like the link in there or something. This gives the exact same vibe where you don't even care enough to give it a proper read through. That's my problem. Saying you use it for minor edits, it's a lie. You didn't say, hey, check if there's like any grammatical errors in there. You gave it a prompt to change an entire paragraph in a different writing style, which AI will pull from other books. It's stealing. I've seen people talking about this, being like, I use AI to kind of guide me through if I'm using the atmosphere or the environment right. Like, would this be a normal thing you're finding in the mountains? And I think it's still a shortcut asking AI and not taking the time to do your research, because we've seen authors out here doing academic reading to research for their book, and you can't have 5 minutes to look if you can find this type of rabbit in this mountain. You know what I mean? The major problem of AI in publishing is we have no regulations out there. I think this is the funniest thing. Amazon is trying to regulate this, because if we're talking about publishing AI slop, like book slop, we're mostly talking about Amazon Kindle, because you can just publish a book by yourself by just sending it to Amazon, and they'll put it electronically online. And Amazon, I think, realized there's like a surge in people just putting books out there to make profit, books that being 100% generated by AI, that Amazon had to create a limit of how many books can someone put on Amazon. And I already hate Amazon and what it stands for. But okay, they try to put a limit. Do you want to know what's the limit? Please pause this video right now and give a guess in the comments, because I want to see. I'll wait for you. The limit is 3 books a day. You can publish 3 books a day. That's the limit that Amazon gave. Oh, also, they also put some sort of regulation on AI work, and you have to declare if your book is AI generated. But it's basically like, hey, are you over 18? Click this box. That's the whole regulation. It's nothing more. Like, you don't have to prove anything. You just basically have to say, I prompt. Scout honor. The most annoying problem that creates in the publishing world, from my opinion, is it's already, like I was just talking about, it's already hard enough for authors to slip through the cracks and get their book traditionally published. think about how much harder it is for them now, where probably hundreds of books are being published online daily. You would get lost so easily in there. So I would get so discouraged. Like, this is my 13th reason, and I'm not even an author. Guys, I'm filming this. My root canal got infected, so I'm in so much pain. Try being an influencer for a day. It's 12 p.m. and I just finished my day. Just try being an influencer for a day. I hope you get that. I hope you get this reference. Please get this reference. Before we talk about all the other problems that AI in publishing creates, let's talk about AI slop and just the fact that it's for some reason targeting the sapphic fiction community. Like, this is insane. Like, we have men out here trying to basically steal work from sapphic fiction authors and passing them as their own by just generating a new book with the book that already exists. This is insane. I've read a whole article on this and I'll put the link in the description, and I really encourage you to go and read this because this was so crazy to me. Someone took the time and they said the sapphic fiction community is under attack by scammers using AI to churn out rip-off books based on real sapphic novels. 701 suspicious titles were identified, mostly published since March 2025, likely all by the same person under 78 different pseudonyms. We have a perfect example of like how a book is just point blank copy paste, but kind of is like the same font but different. Let me give you an example. The original book is called The Princess Match, and it starts like this. Princess Victoria has perfected the royal playbook. Calculated smile, convenient boyfriend, impeccable press. But behind the tiara takes a heart that's tired of playing by the rules. Enter Ashley Woods, England's football captain, media darling, and living proof that authenticity scores every time. When Victoria pins an MBE on Ash's lapel, the instant chemistry jolts both their worlds. Stolen glances become secret meetings, private texts become tabloid gold, and suddenly Victoria's tearing up her royal rulebook for a woman who makes her feel like more than her title. Ash has faced down penalty shoutouts in European Cup finals, but winning Victoria's heart? That's the match of her life. When the romance hits the headlines, it's game it's on. Bow to tradition or fight for a love that could change history. Victoria's got a crown to inherit. Ash has a legacy to defend. Neither planned to start a revolution, but when destiny meets desire, sometimes you have to risk it all to win. And the AI rip-off sounds like this. Princess Evelyn lives by the royal playbook. Duty first, smile always, maintain the perfect image. Trapped by tradition and stifled by a convenient, passionless relationship with Lord Arthur, she secretly yearns for something real, something more. Freya Brown, England's charismatic cricket captain, a powerhouse on the pitch and refreshingly authentic off it. When Evelyn pins an MBE on Freya's blazer, the connection is instant, electric, and utterly forbidden. Stolen glances ignite secret texts, witty banter deepens into... I don't even have to finish this because you can get... like, this is insane. I'll link the whole article and you can go and read about this because I was so disgusted by this. This is literally like typing in Word and you used the same word too many times and you right click and synonym, and basically they did that for the entire paragraph. It's disgusting, and this is the problem with AI. There's no regulation in place, literally none. How are we supposed to accept some when the same technology does this? It enables people to do this. It creates such a multitude of problems that at the end of the day you just have to ask yourself, is it worth it? I said it and I'll say it again, and I don't care if you're gonna be upset about this. I think you're not passionate enough if you're using AI to craft your book in any sort. I'm sorry, like, you can cancel me and you can say, but yeah, Theo, other people have like jobs and they cannot just take more time. You don't have to publish it in the next year. You don't have to publish it in the next year. Some authors take 5 years, 6 years. Just take your time. And this is just my personal opinion about it. I think one of the most problematic things, and it's not even just the publishing industry, is everything. It's the environmental cost of AI. Do you know what are the environmental costs of AI? Because I read an article about this and I was flabbergasted. Listen to this. Every time someone generates an AI book cover or uses ChatGPT to regenerate a paragraph, take this into consideration. Training GPT-3 alone used 1,287 megawatt hours of electricity. That's enough to power an average American home for hundreds of years. It generated 552 tons of CO2, equivalent to 123 cars driven for an entire year. In GPT-4, the estimate suggests it uses 40 to 48 times more electricity than GPT-3. But it's not even just electricity. Microsoft used 700,000 liters of fresh water just to train GPT-3. Every single GPT query you make consumes about half a liter of fresh water just to keep the server cool. And by 2027, global AI demand could consume up to 6.6 billion cubic meters of water, more than an entire country of Denmark uses in a year. Because AI's massive energy demands, coal-fired power plants that were supposed to shut down now staying open for another decade. Microsoft literally made a deal to reopen 3 Mile Island. Yes, the 3 Mile Island with the nuclear meltdown, just to power the AI operations. So when publishers use AI to cut costs in editing, or Inde Authors use it to reformulate their paragraphs or their books, it's not just a matter of intellectual property anymore. It's also such an environmental cost that I am ashamed to say until recently, until I came across and did more research into this, I didn't know. That's also what's scary besides environmental issue. I think it just stops our critical thinking. Oh, I am so embarrassed to admit that I've used chat to ask him to write an email for me because I was like, I'm bad at this, can you help me? And that, thinking back on that, it's just, it didn't help me. It helped me short term, but on long term, I still don't know how to write that email. I would have to go back and ask him to write it again, which is such a problematic thing. And you can't really pinpoint that someone, you can't really be like, I know for sure that someone used this. But you have that inkling, and it's hard. How can you legally prove it? And that brings me to the difference between AI. We have generative AI and assistive AI, and we all know that generative AI is just a big no-no. We all hate it. But what do we think about assistive AI? Because on the other hand, you might make the argument that maybe there are some disabled authors there that maybe now they have a bigger chance of getting published because AI might help with some disability, like maybe voice to text. Maybe some people cannot write. The voice to text option enables them to do it more easily. We also have neurodivergent authors that maybe they can use assistive AI to just organize their thoughts. It can be a very useful tool if used correctly. I'm 100% here to say that generative AI should have no place in the publishing industry. But what do you think about assistive AI? Where do we allow it and where do we say it's wrong? The lines are definitely more blurred with this one. I feel like this is such a deep topic that a few minutes in my video doesn't cover it, and I would like to talk more about this. And let me know what other things you would take into consideration when talking about AI in publishing, because I'm really curious to find out your opinion about this. What is something that maybe I missed when addressing this, because I'm very open to discussing this. But if you like this type of topic, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.